there is so little knowledge of Albania. People will ask me, where is it? Is it near Lithuania?
Yes.
Is it in Russia? I mean it. They don't know where Albania is. Jews in Albania? We didn't know there were Jews in Albania. Jews were saved in Albania? Muslims that saved Jews? Can't believe it. They don't believe it. They don't believe it. Besa? Never heard of it. So that's the story that we want to bring to hopefully to the world. Besa, and then Muslims, particularly Muslims, that save Jews. We know that it's an Albanian tradition. We know that. But Albanian Muslims that save Jews? It's so important. So let's do some pictures. Well, Besa is a unique cultural characteristic of the Albanians. It goes back probably thousands of years. It's been described to me in many, many ways. As an example, one family told me, in their home, first is God, second is their guest, and third is their family. I've had people say to me, I'd sooner have my son killed than break my Besa. There is no Quran without Besa. There is no Besa without the Quran. There's a picture in the show where someone he's quite perplexed. He's looking at me and he's somewhat angry. He says, what are you doing here? I said, well, your father saved these Jewish families. He says, so what? Any Albanian would have done the same thing. We did nothing special. I'll give you an example of Besa also, too. There's a family in Shkodra, a fairly wealthy family. One member of another family had killed a member of their family. They were therefore obligated to kill someone in their family. And one night, this is during the Nazi occupation, A member of this family banged on their door and said, "Help me. The Nazis are looking for me. I'm a communist. They're looking to kill me." They took that person into their home, sheltered him, ultimately brought him to the borders of Albania and said, "If you come back, we'll kill you." That's Besa. One person said to me, "You know what Besa is?" I said, "I think I know what Besa is." "Let me tell you what Besa is." He said to me that we were sitting in a restaurant at the time. If a terrorist would come into this room, I would throw my arms around you and protect you, let them kill me. It was the collective culture of the people. As a matter of fact, when the Italians had originally occupied Albania in 1939, and in 1943, the Italians, the fascists, capitulated, at which point the Germans moved in. And the Germans had demanded of the Albanian government, "Where are your Jews? Turn over your Jews." They refused. And there's no evidence of any Jew being turned over to the Nazis in Albania, which is a very unique situation. The experience of the Holocaust, which I have not directly experienced, has haunted me all my life. I never go in with a prearranged idea of what I'm going to do. I'm interviewing the people. They're telling me who they are, what they are, and I'm looking for objects, if you will express it as well. It's a picture of their parents. In the case of one where there were Hebrew books that were saved, and I photographed that individual with those books that he was saving for those people who promised to come back after the war and never did. So I'm just looking for ordinary objects to enhance, if you will, the photographic experience. I'm not there to tell them what. I'm allowing them to show me who you are. Show me what you'd like me to see. After explaining to them what I'm here for, to honor them, if you will, to honor their parents, and to thank them on the part of the Jewish people for what they did in World War II. One of the people that I did photograph, she's an artist, and there's a picture in the exhibit where she's showing her painting of some flowers, and the background is a painting that she did of her husband, who's now dead. And she said to me afterwards, "Why did you photograph me in black and white? My colors, my tulips are beautiful." And I said, "It's not about your tulips, it's about you. And that's my picture, is about you. Your soul comes through your eyes." We owe a lot to Professor Apostol Catani. He's a man in his early 80s. During World War II, he was a partisan and a chronicler of the history of the Jews in Albania. He also has, in his little notebook, all of the stories of what Albanian families did to rescue Jews in World War II. And he traveled with us to these families and was the anchor, if you will, of our mission. And he's a walking legend, and we hope that we can help him to get the work done in English so that the rest of the world could know what Professor Catani has done and is doing to remember the heroics of what Albanian Muslim families did in rescuing Jews. When we met with Enver Alea, he told us the story of what his father did during World War II. His father had a general store in the mountains of Albania, and was the only general store of its kind for many, many, many miles around. And one day, a German truck came through with a number of Albanian prisoners who are on a work detail and one Jew that they intended to shoot. They stopped at the store. Ali invited them in to the store, gave the German soldiers food and wine, and encouraged them to stay and drink. And finally, the soldiers, they got drunk. While they were drinking, Ali put a message in a piece of melon and gave it to the Jewish kid in the truck to run into the woods at a designated place where he would be retrieved later on by Ali. Well, he did. And the German soldiers were furious, absolutely furious. They threatened to kill Ali on the spot. Fortunately, Ali spoke in German and completely denied he didn't know who this kid was. He knew nothing about it. They brought him into the village. They put a gun to his head 3 times. Where is the Jew? Where is the Jew? And he kept denying, I don't know, I don't know. They threatened to burn the village down. Finally, they left. Ali retrieved this Jewish kid in the woods, brought him back to his home in this small village. There may have been 30, 35 families. Hid him in his home for 2 years. No one in the village knew that he was sheltering a Jewish kid. And at the end of the war, he was saved, and he went back to Mexico, and he's alive today. He's a dentist. And that's the story of Ali Aliyah and saving the life of a complete stranger at the risk of his life and the life of his whole entire community. When we entered these homes in Albania and Kosovo, we were always greeted with candy and raki and nuts and warmth. No one spoke English. The following are some of the excerpts of the profiles of what the children told us of what their parents did, of the widow in some cases, and in some cases the man himself, in his own words. And I've recorded it, and I am profiling, if you will, in my words. But the spirit, hopefully the spirit of what they did, comes through in my voice. I was born in Vlora in 1915. All my life I have been a sheep herder, living with our livestock in the hills. In Vlora we had many Jewish families who were longtime members of our community. If the Germans killed one Albanian, we felt the right to kill 100 Germans. The Germans were looking for Jews whom they said they would burn alive with gasoline as Christ killers. Yaakov Solomon acted as the rabbi of the Jewish community. I took Yaakov and his family with horses at night into the hills and hid them in a barn. We sheltered parts of the Solomon family for 6 months. I remember Yaakov taking me to a tree where he had hidden 10 gold coins. He offered them to me, but I refused. Jews and Muslims are cousins. We both bury our dead in coffins. I drained my glass of raki to honor all my Jewish friends. Besa came from the Quran. To live a life is to save a life and to go to paradise. The entire neighborhood, even the local prefect, knew we were sheltering Jews. When the Germans gave an order upon penalty of death for every household to hang a list of all family members on each front door, we listed David and Frida with false names as our uncle and aunt. We lived day to day as one family. In 1945, David and Frida left and we lost all contact. In 1946, the communists arrested our father and he spent 30 years as a political prisoner. We all survived with great difficulty. Our father died in 1985. We finally got our house back in 1991. My father gave us an order. If there is a knock on the door, take responsibility. Our father was a milkman. During the German occupation, the proprietor of a store told him about some Jews who needed help. We hid them all for 18 months. Then our father arranged false passports. We think they eventually made it to America. The Zubin family left behind a radio, a cabinet, and this sewing machine. We sheltered a ship's captain who left us a gift of these seashells. Since the war, we have lost all contact with the people we sheltered. We are religious Muslims. Our family has never sought recognition for saving Jews. To do good is to get good from God. We're from Shkodra. My husband owned a printing company, a food oil company, and a soap manufacturing company. We owned 2 large homes with servants. Everyone in Shkodra knew of my husband and his generosity. My husband hid many Jews in and around Shkodra, and he organized other hiding places. He secretly drove Jewish families to our country home high in the mountains. He also arranged for Jewish families to travel across the sea by ferry to safety. There were so many he helped, I do not remember their names. After the war, we lost everything to the communists, even our food stamps. My husband was arrested and spent 3 years at hard labor. He died in 1957. Our former house still stands, empty and abandoned, in Shkodra. Julia Pogu. In 1942, my parents sheltered a Jewish family in our home in Durres. They were the Gurchers, father, mother, and daughter, from Hamburg, Germany. They had sought asylum in Albania after Kristallnacht. My mother was a German. Once in Durres, the Gestapo cordoned off the streets and searched with dogs for Jews. My mother came out of her house and scolded them, the Gestapo, in German. She told them never to come back, to remember that she was a German too. The Gestapo left. My father was arrested in 1944. In 1945, the communists killed him. Since the fall of the communists, we have made contact with the daughter, now Joanna Newman, who lives in America. Joanna gave written testimony of her family's rescue, and my parents were recognized by Yad Vashem as righteous amongst nations. Edip Pilko. We met with Shaban Kuchi in Tirana. He was quite a guy. Those medals he's wearing are the medals that were awarded him as a partisan and a communist in World War II. Incidentally, he is also a Muslim, and he sees no problem being a communist and a Muslim. He was very animated. He told us about the families that they sheltered in his father's village, but he brought them into Tirana, and he gave us negatives of pictures where they were walking in the streets of Tirana. He didn't give a damn. He didn't give a damn about anything. He was just so proud and happy of who he was, what he was doing, and nothing could stop him, and nothing could hurt him. We also have a picture of Shaban with Professor Katani, who also was a partisan and a Marxist, and they, with their raised hands, singing the Internationale. Shaban also gave us a letter, and it's a rather poignant letter, trying to make contact with those that they rescued in World War II. He didn't even know their real names, and he's reaching out to the Albanian-Israeli Friendship Association to see if contact can be made again with those people that he very valiantly and courageously and with great humor saved during World War II. Our entire family was involved in fighting the fascists. My parents were part of the National Front, the partisan group under King Zog. My uncle headed the resistance. First, the Jewish family, friends of my uncle, were sheltered in our home in Tirana. Then our house became a safe house and a major staging area for Jews seeking help. We moved many Jewish families to the village of Zalher. There were 20 families protected in Zalher. Among the Jews and partisans in Zalher was a German officer who had deserted and a Russian soldier. This work by my parents was extremely dangerous, and they had to be very careful. My parents were brave and were never frightened. No one in our neighborhood knew of their activities. In 1945, we lost all contact with those whom we worked with and saved. Our family was persecuted. We lost our property and many jobs because we were loyalists. This is a picture of my mother holding one of her grandchildren, Haisif Binshu. These portraits of what I did and the profiles that I have read are somewhat bittersweet. There are so many other stories that we don't know about, of so many heroic people in Albania that rescued Jews, that these stories are missing, they're gone. because of the 60 years and because of the terrible 50-some-odd years of communism. I don't know if there is an end to this story. I only know that there are wonderful people in the world, and I choose to look at those and honor those wonderful people as opposed to chronicling war. This is visceral in me. This is important to me, and I hope it is important to the rest of the world to know that there are so many good people in the world, whether they're Christians, Muslims, Jews, whatever. There are good people, and I believe in the goodness of people.